Hello! Welcome to Give Pause Hobby. I'm Kyle, and I'm here in the Element, which I haven't been in for a little while. Last things I was doing here, I think, were the poems, but let's not talk about that. Let's talk about, first of all, what I got going on here. This is what I have dubbed the Beard Trident, and my students have counter-dubbed as the Poseidon. And then a coworker of mine beat me to the punch and said, what about the Poseidon? And I mean, that's just great. So on the road, heading to drill, so it all has to come off. So might as well do something fun. It is very cold. It is -2, and I think last I checked, it feels like -24 here in now Wisconsin, no longer Minnesota. And though actually, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe it's warmed up since I drove a little bit into Wisconsin. But in any case, I'm in a car. I'm, you know, with just a window between me and the outside. So I still have my jacket on. I still have my my Journey scarf, as in Journey, like the game. Not Journey, the band. And here to talk about the games that I've played for the longest length of time this year. So I kind of have felt bad sometimes, like games is like lightning in a bottle, and I play a bunch of them in a row, and or you know, in a short period of time, and they climb to the top of the list. And some games that, like, really chunky games that maybe I didn't play as often because they can't find their way to the table, just sort of get left in the dust. So when Kate and I are going to talk about the two of us, the games that we have played the most often, so the most reps. But for me, what I'm doing here is going to be what games have taken up the longest length of time for this past year, so 2021. And I decided to do the top 5, but including ties. And I knew there would be ties because when you're working with length of time, there's just like a higher chance that you're going to have like plateaus there. And such is the case for this year, because in my top 5, I actually have 10 games because we have a 5-way tie for 5th place. So in 5th place, of 4 hours. So the games in 5th place I played for 4 hours each, and then I went in order of number of plays from there. So 4 hours, but only 2 games, is Oath by Leader Games. Oath is amazing, and you know, I didn't get it until a little bit into last year, and it's a tricky game to find the right group and the right time, right setting, but I have the right group, and the setting can be any of our houses. The right time is the tricky part, and we've talked about it numerous times since we've only played it twice, both of that same group. I've been wanting to try the Clockwork Prince out and see how that all works out. So I'm interested, I'm intrigued by it. But we are also interested and intrigued to continue, you know, the Chronicle as a group. So I think the game is remarkable. I think it is one of the most conversation inspiring games that I think I've ever played, and mainly with the group you play with, you know, and then because when you start talking to people who haven't played it, you just start sounding like a crazy person. So it's the I guess 4th of the 5-way tie for 5th place, PAX Pamir 2nd edition. So also for 4 hours, but I played it 3 times. So this game is really fun. I got a couple of new people into the game this time. I want to play more PAX Pamir. The problem is it occupies the same space as some other games I also want to play a lot of, which are, you know, Oath and, well, we'll get to another one later on. But yeah, PAX Pamir is just incredible and gorgeous. I mean, it's tough. Like, Oath is already a gorgeous game, but like, there's just something to be said about PAX Pamir. Like, holy cow, the 2nd edition, obviously. Yeah, very, 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 very awesome game. And as always, talking about these games, I want to play them all again some more. 3rd place in the 5-way split, Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. So obviously 4 hours, 4 plays. This is a super, super clean distillation of Terraforming Mars, which I'd only played a couple of times. Even if I'd played that more and it was nearer and dearer to my heart, I'd be hard pressed not to just want to jump ship, or maybe I'm saying that as just like uninitiated, but Ares Expedition just feels so good. Yeah, we've played it. I've either done the solo mode or co-op with Kate. I have yet to play competitive, and I'm excited for that. Co-op and solo are no joke. They are, the game is challenging. But, I mean, so is terraforming another planet. So, I guess, nails the theme. Second place in the 5 games, the 5-way split, is Long Shot, the dice game. 4 hours, 6 plays. So way back when, this was just kind of a weird happenstance, I managed to find a copy, an advanced copy, a preview copy at a half-price books in my area, and I bought it, and I reached out to the creator. I was like, can I make something with this? Because the Kickstarter was going on at the time, and they said, yeah, so we did. And it's a super fun game. It is, I think, the perfect example of how I can trick myself into thinking games are easier or less complex than I imagine them to be, because I'm the one who reads and groks the rules. And by the time I bring it to the table, I have read and reread lots of things in the rule book, maybe watched videos, maybe even done some like dummy plays a little bit. And not to say it's complex, but the decisions that you're making are, I think, a little bit more complicated than I'm used to in a typical roll and write, in terms of where you are assigning your actions. You're only doing the one thing a turn, but it's so impactful and intertwined. This is a roll and write game where you're nudging elbows with lots of people pretty much all the time, but that's the beauty of it. I think it's great. I'm very much looking forward to my Kickstarter version arriving with like the extra cards and the fancy components, and then I will pass this one on to someone else, not through half-price books, through something else. All right, first place of the 5-way split, Marvel United, which I played I played 12 games of this for a grand total of 4 hours. Now you'll be thinking to yourself, wow, that is a sizable amount of games in 4 hours. It's true, because there are a couple of games where I or the group that I was with got rocked real quick. It's not that long of a game, but 12 in 4 hours. It's for a game that's not just like a simple knock something out real quick. But I love Marvel United, and so here's the deal. I like the Marvel universe quite a bit. Some parts more than others. X-Men, I grew up kind of like adjacent to X-Men. I know some of it, but I never really been an avid comic book reader, so a lot of the X-Men lore and the just universe was lost on me. So, but the thing is, I wanted to get some of the expansions I slept on in the first Kickstarter. So I went in on the X-Men Marvel United pretty much just so I could get access to the Pledge Manager. If they'd allow me to do the $1 and Pledge Manager, I probably would not have bought the main set. So I'm planning on selling off my base box and the stretch goals of the X-Men stuff, and then just buying the base box from a store, because I picked up a number of I did pick up some of the X-Men expansions, like one of them, the gold team or the blue team, so you could have like the competitive cooperative mode. And so it's not like I'm completely ignoring the X-Men. I know so few of the characters in the expansion box or the stretch goal box. It's not even funny. There's probably like a third of the ones I already didn't know in the first Kickstarter. It has to be at least 2/3 that I don't know in this one. So they will go to a better home than I will give them. But I'm very much looking forward to them, because this game is delightful, and I think the world of it and how much character it puts into these just simple little decks for all these adorable little minis. I do wish I'd kind of gone in on all the cardboard like tokens, or not the token, but like the bases, because the cards are fine, but like the board is not fine. Is like the locations are very, very thin. So I don't know, one day maybe I'll have to bite the bullet and go back and get some of those. But there's that. All right, into the rest of them. There are no more ties. They have their own rank. So in fourth place, with a grand total of 6 hours, was Dune Imperium, which I played 8 times. So Dune Imperium I'm very much looking forward to the expansion. If I'm being honest, it's probably approaching where the interest is going to start to fall off. Just like the game that it kind of ousted in my, or like shares a spot in my pantheon of board games, Lords of Waterdeep. The base game is fine. It's great. But after a certain amount of time, like, it has its place, but that place isn't going to be in regular rotation, because it needs a little bit something more. And then Scoundrels of Skullport, like, injected all that stuff that they needed. And I'm very excited for the Rise of Ix, for Dune Imperium, because I just think it's a wonderful, wonderful game. Yeah, just super, super fun. And again, just like with PAX, I want to play it again. Talking about it makes me want to play it. Third place, with a grand total of 7 hours over 20 plays, Baseball Highlights 2045. So this game has been in my Kylosphere radar for a while, because I did not get the sport watching gene from my family. Everybody else they follow mainly football, sometimes hockey, sometimes baseball. Like, a few of them follow basketball. I don't follow anything, nothing at all. I might watch part of a game if group of family or friends are hosting for a big whatever, but I don't understand it. I don't understand the allure of spending time doing that when I can spend time doing anything else. So hence board games and whatever else. However, I do find myself really interested in opportunities where people have taken the concept of a game and sort of extrapolated the bits. And that's what Baseball Highlights 2045 is. And I've known that for a while. But what really flipped the switch for me is I got the app ways back, and I got it again. I was like, it somehow came up, and someone was like, yeah, there's AI in it, or you can also play the actual in-the-box solo mode. And I was like, what do you mean also play? Like, I'd only played against the bot, and like, what? There's a different solo mode, and it's nothing fancy. If you've played it, and you've also played games like Root or PAX or Pamir or whatever, it is not an opponent that's going to be reactive and responding to your gameplay. It is just 15 of the better players, and they are blindly drawn. So sometimes they flop down and they don't do anything at all because they're meant to strike people out and you weren't hitting. But other times, like the very first hitter of the game could be like the triple home run crazy dude who's like $15, and you're like, okay, cool, I guess I lost this game because what? And so it's very very tactical, but then also strategic, because you get to know the 15 players that are in that AI's deck, and obviously once they run through it, they shuffle them, so you don't know what order they're going to be in, but you can anticipate what might be coming up, and by process of elimination. But also, so I played a ton of that on the app, but then I finally was like, you know what? I have enough friends of mine who would be extra interested in something like this because of the theme, whereas I don't care. It would actually mean something to them. And the more I played it, I mean, Kate is where I'm at in terms of watching sports. She's even lower. She like actively dislikes it. But the more I played this game, I was like, you know what? She does really like deck building. And yes, the theme is like plastered everywhere, from the mechanic names to the names of the people are based off of actual players. Like it's like covered in baseball theme, but that's like underneath that is like a deck building mechanism and a really fast playing game that I was like, you know, I think she might enjoy this. And I did the thing where I like bring out a couple games and I'm like, all right, which one's? She's like, bring out some, we'll choose one. And she said, well, let's do that one. I'm like, can I just like do the quick pitch of Baseball Highlights maybe for another time? Said, sure. And so I go through it and I'm like 90% done with it, and she's like, all right, never mind, I think it was Red Rising. She's like, put Red Rising away, which we hadn't played in a little while. It had been on the shelf. She said, put that away, I want this one. And it's a blast. I think it's a totally different game. Against the AI, you're just like, it is just strictly what is the maximum, like what is the best thing I can do, and there is a right answer. Against other players, there's a lot more guessing game going on, or when are they going to put their big hitters, how are they going to respond to this. So it's awesome. I'm super glad that I finally gave it a shot, gave it a crack. All right, number 2 of a grand total of 9 hours over 6 plays, Warcry. So this is like a renaissance of in my board gaming world, my gaming world is a resurgence of wargaming. And Kill Team started it, but the Warcry part, Patrick Leader is strictly to thank for it, because me talking about Kill Team, him talking about Warcry, we finally there's an opportunity where I learned the game from someone else at his house, and it was a blast. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna get one warband. I'm collecting Kill Team. I don't need to collect this. I'm just gonna get one warband so I can bring my own. And I got it, and then they announced Red Harvest, the new starter set, and I was like, I mean, I am making extra money for covering for teacher absences because of stupid COVID and all this. So maybe I'll put my money towards, I'm just going to get the starter set. So I have a starter and another warband, and I just, the friend I'm going to see this weekend at Drill, he doesn't know, but I have a warband partially painted for him to get into it, because he used to play 40K with me back in the day. And it's like a combination, it's like Kill Team is like 40K vibes from when I was younger, but in a faster game with more real tactical decisions you're making and way fewer models you actually have to buy and paint. All good things. But that's over here. Board games are over here. Warcry is like maybe a little bit closer to the tabletop wargaming thing than board games, but a lot of the mechanics hew a lot closer to board gaming than they do wargaming, and I think that makes it more easily teachable, more approachable. And even though the theme, I'm way less interested in Warcry and all the fluff around it, though I am kind of now getting more into it. But like the 40K universe I just grew up with, and I'm so connected with all those factions, so that like clutches my heart from Kill Team. But Warcry is just so crunchy, and I love it. I can't wait to play more of it. Speaking of which, number 1, 16 hours over 13 plays. This should not come as a huge surprise, but this is Root. And I can't say anything about Root that I haven't said already. It's the game I've played the most of and the longest time of ever, and I don't see that changing with the delivery of Marauder and Clockwork 2 down the road. Like, that's only going to be more. And I have more content coming up. The rest of my reviews of my like timeline of Root, but also the re-release of the bot videos, like the how to plays. It's just, I've heard this bandied about, and I've never really used it about myself or any of my games. It is my lifestyle game. That it's always part of like when I'm thinking about board gaming, Root is never far from the scene, and it's just the best. So real quick, before I sign off, I thought this would be an interesting part of this, is just showing how these games stacked up against the years past. So let's go from the bottom. PAX Premier, which was tied for 5th at 4 hours. Last year was in 4th place, also 4 hours over 4 plays. So apparently I was playing faster last year. I'm slowing down in my old age. Marvel United was number 8. It was a many way split for number 8 of only 1 hour for 2 games, because I had just gotten it, not that long before the year was over. Dune Imperium, it dropped a slot this year because it was number 3. It was 3rd place last year, 6 hours over 6 games. And Root has maintained at number 1, 26 hours over 23 plays. Now, if you go back a year before that, 2019, Root is the only one that's on the leaderboard at 5th place, 4 hours over 2 plays, and those are my often talked about not great games of Root, because I did not know the game very well back then. That's why they took 2 hours each, and but I knew there was something there. And fast forward, I have played survey says 42 hours of Root since then. And then in 2018, none of the 10 games I just talked about were on my top 5. So I just think that's a kind of a fun way to talk about how I choose to spend my time based on how long I've spent playing it on these different games. And at this point, oh, I can't see my breath just yet, but the car is cooling down because this took a little bit longer than I thought. But I hope you all had a good 2021 of gaming. Gestures to everything. There's a lot else in the world that is less than great. Hopefully you have found, whether it's modeling, painting, gaming, making videos, doing whatever, making a game, who knows, something has brought a little spark of joy, because there's a lot that's not so great. So anyways, thanks for taking time out with Give Pause, and I'm gonna get back to driving. Hope everybody's having a great day. We'll talk to you next time. See ya.